Verify exists to fact check the things you read and see online. And we've seen a lot of posts like these popping up. People asking if they're lucky enough to get the COVID-19 vaccine, will it cause them to test positive on a COVID-19 test? What about an antibody test? Let's verify. Here are sources. An epidemiology expert, Dr. Michael Minna from Harvard University. An infectious diseases expert, Dr. Siham Majoub from Howard University. And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Dr. Majoub says that the vaccine triggers your body to create an immune response and develop antibodies. However,
it does not mean that the vaccine is going to give you the actual virus in your nose, because the vaccine does not contain the actual virus.
Just like the CDC, our other expert also says that this is false.
And there's really no reason for the protein mRNA to make its way up into the nose where we're sampling.
So this is verified as false. The vaccines will not make you test positive for a viral test. But Dr. Majoub says that she has seen this situation. People unknowingly sick testing positive after getting vaccinated. But that's not caused by the vaccine itself. That just means they had COVID-19 before they got the jab. Okay, what about the antibody test? Could the vaccine cause you to test positive for that? The CDC says that the answer is yes, it's possible. Minna explains that it depends on what specific protein the antibody test you get is looking for.
Antibody tests very well will turn positive after somebody gets a vaccine if they're looking for antibodies against the spike protein or any of the other subunits and proteins that are in the vaccine, but they will not turn positive if it's an antibody looking for nucleocapsid, which a lot of them are.
With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozloff, WZDX News.